And we now meet Donna Adelson from Coral Springs, Florida. I want to hear all about you, Donna. Let's go.
Well, I'm a domestic coordinator.
That was now convicted killer Donna Adelson on the Wheel of Fortune all the way back in 1989 with host Pat Sajak and Vanna White. Hard to believe it was that long ago. And she's not the only Adelson that appeared on a game show. Wendy Adelson was on The Weakest Link in 2002 that was reported on by the Brandeis University newspaper, otherwise known as The Justice, where she earned on that game show $2,000. And all this might seem like cute trivia till you zoom out just a little bit. And this is why. From the dating game killer to a Family Feud contestant who joked, "I do," about his bride-to-be, and then later murdered his wife, the overlap between game shows and real life true crime killers and people like Wendy Adelson, who could soon be indicted, well, this information, this trivia, is darker than anyone previously imagined.
Welcome to the global phenomenon, Surviving the Survivor. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning journalist, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. This is the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And tonight, we're looking a little bit deeper into something that just struck us in covering the Adelson case, particularly Donna Adelson. And of course, it's the fact that Donna Adelson, as I mentioned, was a one-time contestant on the Wheel of Fortune. And her daughter, Wendy, who could very well be the next in line to be indicted in that family in the murder of Dan Markel. Well, Wendy Adelson was on The Weakest Link, another game show, back in 2002. So we did some digging here at STS, and it turns out that murderers and accused killers who once strutted across our TV screens on game shows, well, some of them are behind bars, some are dead, but they were convicted of crimes, all the ones we're about to mention, except for Wendy. And again, she could be next in line for an indictment. But the Adelsons, they're the anchor of this. They're the reason we came up with the idea of putting this video together. Donna, again, on Wheel of Fortune, Wendy on The Weakest Link. But when you pull back that curtain, you'll hear other names, including Rodney Alcala, perhaps the most infamous from the dating game. You've got John Cooper, Paul Curry, Tim Bleefnick, who was on Family Feud not that long ago. And you might know the name Lori Vallow, as well as Sarah Boone. I was at her trial, Sarah Boone's trial, the so-called suitcase murder, where she zipped her boyfriend inside a suitcase, leaving him to basically scream for his life as she watched him suffocate to death. So these are all contestants who went from seeking applause on the little screen to literally facing murder convictions. So let's break it down some more for you here. And you'll see some clips from some of the game shows throughout this piece. But again, Donna Adelson, she's the main character that got us going down this rabbit hole back on Wheel of Fortune in 1989.
And we now meet Donna Adelson from Coral Springs, Florida. I want to hear all about you, Donna. Let's go.
Well, I'm a domestic coordinator.
A domestic coordinator?
Yes. I'm responsible for the activities, classes, and lessons of my son Robert, who is 16, Charlie, who is 12, Wendy, who is 10, my husband Harvey, who's in the audience, and my dog Sam.
She introduced herself, as you saw off the very top, as a domestic coordinator, which is something she said in her classic Queen's accent, going on to say, "I'm responsible for the activities of my son Robert, Charlie, Wendy, my husband Harvey, and even my dog Sam." Well, I don't think Sam is with us anymore. That might be a good thing for Sam, because he didn't see how things turned out for Donna Adelson. But it is really wild, and it is also haunting to think that she said, "I am responsible for the activities of my son Robert, Charlie, Wendy, my husband Harvey," because you fast forward from 1989 to 2025, and she is convicted essentially for meddling in her children's business. So much so, she was so unhappy with Wendy Adelson's choice as a husband that she is now convicted of hiring hitmen to have him murdered. And what's even more wild is she's the one who reportedly picked Dan Markel as Wendy Adelson's future husband when she was on J-Date. She was so involved as a domestic coordinator that she was literally vetting the men that her daughter was dating, and she thought that Dan Markel was the perfect fit. Only years later, when the marriage started to go south and Dan refused to give up custody of the kids and move back to Miami, which is where Donna Adelson wanted those grandkids, things got so out of control, according to Donna, and that's what she told one of those jailhouse informants, that eventually there was a hit put out on him. And in fact, in July of 2014, Dan Markel was murdered in his Tallahassee driveway, and the rest, as they say, is history. What's even more ironic, really hard to believe, is that the puzzle that Donna Adelson solved on Wheel of Fortune literally was for the term or the phrase mischief maker. You can't make this stuff up.
Donna.
F.
Yes.
Mischief maker.
Yeah, that's it, Donna.
Mischief maker is what got Donna Adelson to finish third on that Wheel of Fortune episode. She won $2,900, which back in 1989 was a pretty decent sum of money. But can you imagine that you fast forward from 1989 to 2025 and she became a real life mischief maker? That she is the one who now this jury of 12 say is responsible for the murder of Dan Markel by hiring a hitman, she and her son Charlie, that she was looking after. It's really wild to think about it. There is a reason why Surviving the Survivor has the best guests in all of true crime, just like there's a reason that Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Not all law firms are created equal, and choosing the wrong one can cost you. If you've been in a serious accident or suffered an injury, your case could be worth millions, and that's why it's important to have the right legal team on your side. With over 1,000 attorneys nationwide and 35 years of experience, Morgan & Morgan will fight to get you the money you deserve. They've recovered more than $25 billion for over 500,000 clients. And the results really speak for themselves. In Florida recently, a client received $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. And another got $20 million after insurance offered nothing. Then in Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million. That's 40 times the insurer's $650,000 offer. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's like hiring a legal army that has your back. And if you're injured because of someone else's negligence, then you deserve to be paid. So if you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen from your phone's camera. Next up, her daughter, Wendy Adelson. Now, Wendy has never been convicted of a crime. She is an unindicted co-conspirator, and many think that that is going to change shortly to an indicted co-conspirator, possibly even with Harvey. Well, she went on the show The Weakest Link in 2002. Like, what is the deal with these people wanting to be seen on game shows? It's kind of crazy. She won $2,000 on The Weakest Link, Wendy did, after correctly answering a question on the Articles of Confederation. Now, this is when she was at Brandeis, but of course she went on to become an attorney, and she told the host of The Weakest Link, and I quote here, our strategy was for the women to vote off the men. Once the guys wasted too much time, the men caved. The men caved. And you know what? She had, or I should say her mother and her brother had the man in her life cave in a whole different sort of way. But it's really weird to go back and, again, Donna with solving the puzzle mischief maker, and then here she's talking about the men who caved. It is haunting. It's weird. It's eerie. Again, today, Wendy Adelson remains uncharged, but if you ask people who are following the case, including myself, she's widely believed to be the next implicated in the murder of her ex-husband, Danny Markel. Now, without a doubt, I think the most notorious game show contestant who went on to have an infamous life as a convicted killer was Rodney Alcala from The Dating Game back in 1978. Already at the time of the show, he was a convicted sex offender and a suspected killer way before appearing on television.
What's your best time?
The best time is at nighttime.
Why do you say that?
Because that's the only time there is.
The only time? What's wrong with morning, afternoon?
Well, they're okay, but nighttime's when it really gets good. Then you're really ready.
When he was on air and asked by the host, what are you called when I serve you for dinner? You guys remember The Dating Game. They go behind the curtains and they ask these odd questions. So the question was asked, what are you called when I serve you for dinner? And Rodney, Alcala smirked and said, I'm called the banana. Peel me. So I'm called the banana. Peel me. Now, Cheryl Bradshaw was a contestant on the show, and she picked him, actually. So he won. Rodney won. She picked him, but later apparently refused to go on the date because she said that he was creeping her out. He gave her creepy vibes, and she said, Now, of course, after the fact, we found out that way before the show, way before The Dating Game in 1978, about 9 years before, 1968, Rodney was wanted for assaulting a child, and that he was actually on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Now, think about the insanity of that, the hubris involved, that you're on the FBI's 10 most wanted list and you go on a national game show. He was also suspected of multiple murders. After the show, this is now after appearing on the show, he killed 12-year-old Robin Samsoe, Samsoe, in 1979. So it was a year after he appeared on the game show. And then later he was tied to multiple women's murders. He actually was convicted for 7 different murders, but he is suspected of committing over 100 of them, 100 homicides, 100 murders, and he ends up dying on California's death row in 2021. Now, the same year that Donna Sue Adelson was on the Wheel of Fortune, in the UK, there's a game show called Bullseye, and on there was a contestant named John Cooper, and he was known as the Pembrokeshire Murders, the killer behind the Pembrokeshire Murders. That happened in Wales. Now, when he appeared on Bullseye, he was happy-go-lucky, jovial, and this was after murdering siblings Helen and Richard Thomas in 1985. So again, like Rodney Alcala, this guy had already murdered before being on the show. 1998, he's actually jailed for burglary. So this is, I think, 9 years after appearing on the show Bullseye. He's jailed for burglary. 2009, he's arrested again after DNA advancements. Now, a Bullseye still frame from the show Bullseye matched a police sketch, which is wild. And that's what helped link him to later murders of Gwenda and Peter Dixon. He is convicted back in 2011. He's finally convicted of 4 murders, currently serving a life sentence. So, I mean, once again, this is John Cooper on the British show Bullseye. What the hell are these people thinking going on these shows after committing these heinous crimes? We all know Jeopardy, Alex Trebek, may he rest in peace. Well, there was a contestant on Jeopardy back in the 1980s named Paul Curry. He won thousands of dollars on the quiz show. Brilliant but sinister. He was convicted of killing his wife, Linda, by slipping nicotine into her food and drinks in 1994. Officials suspected him for years in this crime, but they lacked evidence. He was finally arrested all those years later in 2010, and he's convicted in 2014, sentenced to life without parole. Prosecutors said that he stood to gain over $500,000 from her insurance as well as pension. Hey, man, if he was better at Jeopardy, he could have won that $500,000 on Jeopardy, but it was not to be. Much more recently, there's a guy named Timothy Bleefnick. Family Feud contestant. Was 2009, but I believe the episode aired in 2020, and he's got this now infamous exchange with then host Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey asks, "What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding?" And Bleefnick joked, saying, "I do." The audience literally gasps, and he adds, "I'm going to get in trouble for that, aren't I?" Well, he sure did, and I'll tell you why. 3 years later, his estranged wife, Rebecca, was found shot 14 times. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 14 times. In 2023, he's convicted of her murder, sentenced to 3 life terms without parole. And I'm sure he's walking around state prison now saying, hey, at least I was on Family Feud with Steve Harvey. It is just wild. Psychologically, I'm just curious why there's so many of these cases. Are there so many of these cases, or is it just a big world with a lot of game shows? It just seems odd to me. And then 2 final famous names, at least in the world of true crime and in true crime in recent years. One is Lori Vallow Daybell. Well, her and Donna Sue Adelson share something in common years apart. Again, Donna Adelson on Wheel of Fortune back in 1989. Lori Vallow Daybell appeared on Wheel of Fortune in 2004, and it was known as the Great Outdoors #5 episode. She won about $17,000. And on that episode, and we now know that she's the so-called doomsday mom who believed that demons basically infested her children with this crazy thought process, but was really, I think, interested in the money that could be garnered from the death of these children, JJ and Ty Lee, may they rest in peace. But she told friends at the time that she believed, and I quote here, God told her she was going to be on Wheel of Fortune. So Lori all along had a very strong relationship in her own mind with God. It was a twisted and depraved one that other people saw, but God told her she was going to be on Wheel of Fortune. And of course, she ends up, as I said, winning all this money. And even more importantly and more depressingly, later is now notoriously known, as I said, for the murder of her children, JJ and Ty Lee, and as well as conspiracy in the death of Tammy Daybell, convicted of the crimes of the children back in 2023. And she is rotting away, as she should, in state prison back in Idaho. You've got Sarah Boone, the so-called suitcase killer. She zipped her boyfriend, George Torres, into a suitcase during an alleged game of hide and seek. I was at that trial. Sarah Boone had a chance to cut a plea deal with the state. She said, no, I'm going to win this case. I didn't kill this guy. Sure as the day is long, and as the sun falls at night, Sarah Boone was convicted in this case after a relatively short trial. But she was a contestant on Nickelodeon's kids game show, a kids game show known as Nick Arcade in the early 1990s.
John and Sarah, say hey! Your partner there, Sarah, likes to hang out at the mall. Now, what do you do while you're just hanging at the mall, Sarah?
Well, check out guys and spend money.
Check out the dudes and spend the cash. Your cash or like parents' cash?
Mine.
Oh, okay. Listen, hey, John, you pulled off the face-off for your team, so that means red team, you have 25 points, and you get to move the big M. Yes, red team.
Navel orange.
Navel it is. Yeah, there you are. And you are up to 100 points, and you still have control. The audience likes the navel thing. It's the belly button lint thing. Move, Mikey, please, red team.
Down.
Nice. Andrea, tell them what they just snagged. Say cheese, red team. That's yours. And you get to move. Oh, yes, red team, do you have a?
C.
C, conga is it. Yes, red team, you have the goal. And the 50 points. And Sarah of the red team gonna play the face-off Crater Ranger. And you have to avoid craters and explosions and other pitfalls. In positions, please. Ready, set, go.
She was a teenager at the time. Again, convicted in 2024 in the murder of George Torres. That was just horrific to watch. There is video of George Torres being suffocated in a suitcase because Sarah Boone was dumb enough to film it. Apparently blacks out that night, but investigators get their hands on it, and it's played in court, and that's all it took to get Sarah Boone convicted to life in Florida. And life in Florida is life without the possibility of parole. It means the only way you're coming out of prison is with a toe tag from the coroner, and that is the way she will come out of prison. Just a twisted, crazy story, and yet another game show contestant. Last but not least, you've got a guy named that we know of, and let us know, by the way, if there are more. A guy named Ryan Alexander Jenkins. He was on the VH1 reality shows Megan Wants a Millionaire and I Love Money 3. He was a contestant in 2009, competing for model Megan Hauserman's affection. He married Jasmine Fiore shortly afterward. Within months of the marriage, her body was found mutilated in a California dumpster. This guy, Ryan Jenkins, fled to Canada and ended up unaliving himself in a motel as police were closing in. A background check had missed his 2007 domestic violence conviction, and that is how he wound up on this reality show. So this is absolutely chilling, and it shows a chilling pattern. Killers and would-be killers, potentially a person like Wendy Adelson, not yet indicted, but could be, showing that they are drawn to the spotlight. What is going on here? I've got to talk to my friend Dr. G. Dr. G explains, and try to get to the bottom of why, if you are soon to be already have killed in some cases, why would you want to be on national television and especially on one of these game shows? Was it a money grab? Is it a limelight grab? I don't know. But now a moment of harmless TV fame reads like a bit of a prelude to infamy in all these cases, from Rodney Alcala's banana line to Bleef Nick's I do joke. The bright lights of TV were often masking some of the darkest true crime stories. Like I said, these are the ones we came up with. Let us know if you know of any others. If you've ever heard of any other now convicted killers, or people who are believed to be killers or criminals in other senses, if they've committed other crimes, please drop a comment if you know of any in the comment section. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And what a weird world we live in. The intersection of true crime and game show contestants. Donna Sue Adelson on the Wheel of Fortune back in 1989, saying that she is a domestic coordinator essentially meddling in the business of a husband, Harvey, sons Rob, Charlie, and Wendy, even her dog, Sam. And who would have thought that all these years later, she'd be convicted for such a heinous crime? And what a weird coincidence that her puzzle was mischief maker. Love you, America. See you on the flip side.